Okay, this is Sarah Collier interviewing Mr. Chris Renato at his current residence in Baton Rouge, Louisiana on June 6th of 2022 for the Baton Rouge Community College Veterans Oral History Project. For my first question, could you please state your branch of service and your rank?
United States Navy, and when I got out, I was a lieutenant, which is an 03.
Okay, and were you drafted or did you enlist at the time?
Well, it's not technically called enlisting. I went through officer candidate school.
Okay.
So I went to LSU, then I went to officer candidate school, and then I was an officer.
Okay, and where did you serve and for which wars were you present?
I was in Pensacola for a couple years, then Norfolk, Virginia. I was stationed on an aircraft carrier there, Dwight D. Eisenhower. Came back to Pensacola for a few years, and we were there. We were in the Mediterranean for Operation Desert Fox. This was kind of like in between the Iraqi War and the next Iraqi War, I guess, kind of in between.
Why did you join?
My family all did. My grandfather did. My dad was in the Navy.
They were on the
Uncle was
Navy
in the
as well?
Navy, yeah. So it was kind of a family deal, and I was the only son, so I kind of felt like I needed to. Mm-hmm.
And were you living in Baton Rouge at the time?
I had just graduated from LSU. Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember your first arrival and your assignment, and what was it like?
Yeah, I remember. Well, the most notable one was when I got to the aircraft carrier, and I just showed up with my little green sea bag that they give you, and told I was there to meet a certain person, and I gave them that name, and they said, "Yeah, go hang out down on the third deck. There's a McDonald's down there, and just go get you something to eat and hang out." And so, what I didn't know is that that's where all the enlisted guys eat. And so I was an officer, right? So I've got a senior rank, and I went down there looking for the McDonald's, and they got a good laugh out of that because obviously there's not a McDonald's on an aircraft carrier.
Did you get to firsthand witness combat?
No. We were in a war zone, but I was out on a carrier, so I didn't really see that. Other than the planes taking off to go into combat, but that's. Yeah.
What would you say was your most notable experience from your whole time?
Being in that, we were right off the coast of Libya whenever Omar Gaddafi said that there was like this line of death at the 12-mile mark, and we went and parked the carrier just inside of 12 miles just to take him off to see what he would do. Mm-hmm. And he flew planes out there, and we didn't know if they were gonna attack the ship or whatever, but that was about it.
So were you a witness to any casualties in your unit, or?
No, I saw a guy get blown over the deck of the carrier, and he fell in the water, which was like 12 stories.
Yeah.
And so, but he survived. I don't know how he survived, but he survived. So we saw some interesting stuff, but I did not witness anybody dying. No.
Were you awarded any medals or citations?
The normal stuff, 5 or 6 things, but nothing, no Purple Hearts or anything crazy.
Was it difficult? Obviously, like you're a family man, was it difficult, being away at that time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Brandy and I were supposed to get married in May, and my detailer, who kind of just tells me where I'm going to go, called me, and he called me in February. He goes, "Hey, I need you to be on the ship in April," and I'm like, "I'm getting married in May." He was like, "No, you're not getting married in May." So we had to move the wedding up, and so I was gone for the first 9 months of us being married. I was overseas.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
What was the food like?
Down in the enlisted mess, it was, you eat off of like Piccadilly trays kind of deal, and it was okay. But fortunately I was an officer, so we got to eat in the officer's mess, and it was considerably better, but still not that great.
Sure, it's difficult to have that high quality of food,
Right. But all you do is work and eat, so we would eat like 4 meals a day.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Where all did you travel while you're in the service, other than what you've said thus far?
When I was on the carrier, we went to Spain, France, Italy, Greece, Turkey, Dubai, and that's about it.
Did you always have a plentiful supplies, or was there ever a shortage of anything that would have led to stress?
No. No, we always had plenty of supplies. I happened to work in strike ops, and our job was actually to coordinate supplies coming to the ship. And these were the days before, cell phones and stuff. So nobody could call home. But the office that I happened to work in, we had a telephone line back to the States through the satellites to coordinate all the stuff. And so I was actually fortunate. I got to talk to my wife once every couple of days when everybody else had to wait in line and call. But as far as supplies and stuff, no. And I always kind of knew what was coming.
And was that y'all's only form of communication, just getting to speak like every few days or so?
My wife and I? Yeah, with that and snail, old school mail.
Did the whole letter thing?
The whole letter thing, yeah. And there was a plane. It was called the COD, Carrier Onboard Delivery, and that plane would come in every day and pick up the mail and bring whatever new mail we had.
Deliver it to the wives.
Yep.
What did you do when you were on leave?
Once, Brandy flew over and met me in France, and so we got to spend some time in Paris, which was cool.
That's fun.
And other than that, when we were in different ports, like I saw Rome in a day. When we were in Italy, I went to Rome and just hustled around town to see it all. I would just go see and experience as much as I could.
Do you recall the day your service ended?
It was kind of anticlimactic. I remember my last day on the ship. That was kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
But my last day of service, I don't even really remember that.
So what happened your last day on the ship?
I just was super excited to get off. And they had a big ceremony and stuff. And they gave me some things that everybody signed and all that, and it was kind of cool. But it was just really, really nice to be separated from the ship, because when you're on a ship, even when we were in port, Brandy and I lived in Norfolk, and so even then I would have to stay on the ship for a whole week. And then, even though we were in port, we had to stay there.
Yeah, you had to stay.
Yeah, and she wasn't supposed to come, but every now and then I'd sneak her onto the ship.
And were other gentlemen in the service with you kind of doing the same things with their wives or partners?
Yep. It's a hard way of life.
Yeah, it sounds really cool. And how old were you on that day?
When I got out? 2002, so I would have been 20. Can't do that math. 29? I guess I was 29. Yeah.
And where were y'all ported, you said?
When I got off the ship, actually, that was in 98, so I was 25 at the time. But then we went to Pensacola, and I got out of Pensacola.
Gotcha.
Yeah. We were. That was when we had a baby, and that was right after 9/11 happened. So Brandy had already kind of moved back home, and we were transitioning back.
And what did you do in the days and weeks afterwards?
After I got out, started working, trying to figure out what I was going to do for the rest of my life.
And what's your career now?
I own a couple different businesses. So.
Did you ever consider going back to school?
Yeah, well, I did my last couple of years while I was in Pensacola. I used the GI Bill, and the government paid for me to get an MBA.
That's awesome. Did your military experience influence your thinking about war or the military in general?
I'm sure it did to some extent, but I think I still kind of believe the way that I always have about it.
I guess why you initially got involved and everything.
Yeah, right.
Are you a part of any sort of veteran foundations or support groups today?
Yeah, we recently committed to I forget what it's called, but basically employer support of the National Guard. So we do what we can to hire National Guard members, because we understand what that life is like. We started the Louisiana Armed Forces Foundation to try to help veterans that were getting out. It didn't get a whole lot of traction, but we've done that. That's about it.
Have you maintained any friendships formed in the service?
Yeah. Some of the guys that I was in officer candidate school with, we still stay in touch. Most of them, one of them's a pilot for Southwest Airlines, and one's still in the Navy.
Oh wow! And where are they located?
Southwest guy is in Denver, flying out of there, and then the guy that's still in the service, he's out in California. And actually, my roommate from the ship, I still stay in touch with him. He's in Arkansas.
So do y'all do more visits or phone calls, like you said?
Just kind of
Snail mail?
Facebook and
Yeah.
not snail mail. We don't do that anymore. Yeah, Facebook and stay in touch that way, and just touch base with each other every now and then.
Okay, well, thank you for your time and for sharing your experiences.
You're welcome.